Hello, and welcome to Pray Love, hosted by Deb Maybury and Dave Rogers. We meet up with you here every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and we talk about a variety of spiritual topics, changing from, it could be personal growth, it could be universal love, intention, all different kinds of things. And we appreciate those of you who watch us live or in repeat. Mr. Rogers, how are you doing tonight?
Very fine. It's a lovely day in the neighborhood.
So why don't we begin with the land blessing? I will turn it over to you.
Very nice. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabeg. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties, is within the lands protected by the dish with one spoon, 1 point agreement. Mother Earth, Father Cosmos, all enlightened beings, ancestors, beloveds, join us today for a conversation. Join us today. Explore, co-create, and let's have an amazing experience.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, well, we have a guest sitting back in the studio that we're going to bring forward.
Would you like me to start the introduction?
Please do.
From the land of the first light, Janine brings many gifts to our world. However, being an intuitive, a visionary, a writer, speaker, facilitator, and messenger for love are her focus and purpose. Teacher, mentor, and supporter, Janine is here for those awakening to themselves, beyond the stories and conditioning of their minds. Truth of self is found within love for self, that awaits discovery within each human being. Janine has an intimate relationship with love. I'm so blessed and pleased to have Janine join us today. And I am very out of my natural flow by making an introduction in this way, which is so beautiful because it is about stretching, it is about growing. And I would like to continue with the introduction. It is only now, as we are growing into our deepest truth, that we realize how far away from this truth we have been led. And as we open into this rising truth of who and what we are bringing in the new emerging world through our awakening hearts, our growing realizations, our rising vibration, and our deepening knowing of life. We are literally birthing the new world into existence through our expanding love that is now becoming stronger, brighter, deeper, right around this planet as hearts awaken, open, and connect to form a grid of pure creation. This is who we are, the awakening ones. Welcome, Janine. Deb, I'm going to ask you for the first comment as you have heard this unfolding. How elegant, how beautiful, how delightful. What would you like to say?
I would like to say, hi, Janine. Welcome back. Thanks so much for returning. It's a blast to see you again, and I'm looking forward to a fun hour.
Fantastic.
And the first question that I'd like to ask is that, is that you must have enjoyed yourself last time because you didn't even hesitate. You were like, I'll come back on. So I want to thank you for that. And what was it about Pray Love that you wanted to come back and visit us?
I absolutely love. Well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me back here. I love your energies. I love both your energies and I love the interplay between the two of you. So I felt blessed to be invited back and to be part of that bubble, that playfulness and curiosity, and we can explore within the next hour and what will unfold as we come together and share conversation. So yeah, I'm feeling blessed to be here.
Thank you so much. You know, you're doing such great work, and I was poking around again on your site. I can't recall, actually, Dave, do you remember? When was Janine on last? I can't remember how far it was, and my intention was to go back and listen to the old interview and not ask you any of the questions I did last time, and then I thought, no, I'm just going to go with what comes up for me. And actually, when people come on to the show, for those watching, they come into, it's called the studio, and then we chat for a while. So we've already been talking for about 20 minutes, I guess, at this point. And one of the things that came up, and I don't want to forget about it, and I don't want to run out of time, and it's putting me a little bit into importance or ego state, because we were talking about names. And we were talking about, my name, Deb versus Deborah. And today I was doing an exercise and I was really drawn to Deborah. And it turns out that Janine's name is Deborah. So can you share a little bit about the energy? Maybe it's changed since she was born, but why did you call her Deborah? And what do you feel is sort of the essence of the name or the vibration of the name?
So when I was carrying her, I was feeling into her energy, and she felt like a strong, determined type of energy that was growing within me. And so the name Deborah came to me because it personifies to me the strength, the warrior strength, the divine feminine goddess strength. So it's a strong name, and she's beautiful within that vibration, and that is her perfectly. So it's really important that the name that we give our child is what we feel with them. So rather than taking on a family name, it's what we feel with them as an individual in their vibration. And Deborah is a leader, is a person that stands up and allows himself to be seen and speaks to a crowd, just like you do here on the internet, Deb, like you speak to the world. This is the energy for me of Deborah. And it's important that we don't cut the name down, because if we, like my daughter's been called Deb and Debbie all her life. But
Say that again. Say that again. Deb. Say that again.
Deb.
So all my friends in Canada, I want Deb for the next week or two. I love it. It sounds great. My Aussie friends or New Zealand friends, I love when they sorry to interrupt you, but I just was like, Deb. I just love that.
To me, it's you two that have the accent here, not me. So it's important that we understand the importance of not cutting a name down, which is something that we as human beings always do. We, especially little ones, we bring it down to a gentler form. But as we grow into ourselves, as we grow up into adulthood, and we take on the vibration of the name, so bringing it back to its fullness is rather important, so that we live within the fullness of the energy of that name. And as I was saying earlier on, before we came on here, that as we grow through life and we change and we become a new version of ourselves, and this can happen so many times in our life, that we come into the latest and newest version of ourselves, often our names don't fit anymore. So I'm seeing more and more people now that are dropping their names, either their first name or their surname, and moving away even from their middle names completely, because they're living more within the vibration of who they are. They're realizing that they're vibrational beings, and they're living more consciously within that vibration. So they're wanting a name that fits that. And so, as I say, I'm seeing it more and more within the spiritual communities, that people are moving to new names and adopting and taking on these new vibrations. So yes, getting back to your question, Deb, Deborah, it's a leader's name. I have something important to say here. I want to speak my truth, and I am going to stand up and let the world see me speaking my truth. I am going to honor myself within that truth and be seen. So that's what Deborah has always felt like to me, the leader, the example.
Wow, that's amazing. There's so much that is ringing in my ears with that, because I'm glad I didn't ask you behind the scene. Like, this is the first time I'm hearing this, because I would have been very shy to get you to say all that, actually. But it really resonates, because just today I was having this real experience with Deborah, and okay, where did that come from? For a while, in a small niche of people, I was called Aura. And I really actually love that. They took off the Deb and just it was the Aura. And I thought, yeah, but that's a little uncomfortable too, right? It's a little shy to be called Aura, like what that represents. But I love all that you've said. And maybe just share, the reason why we started talking about this was because you had changed your last name. David asked you something in the studio, and then you had mentioned that. So maybe you could share a little bit about that too.
Sure. So about 2008, when I walked away from my marriage, I knew that I had finished with the name that I had, my married name, but also my first name had always been shortened to Jan. So I knew that I was unfolding, that I was expanding out, and I wanted to take on the fullness of my first name. So I took on Janine, and I encouraged people to call me Janine, moving away from where I grew up and coming to a whole new area. It was very easy because I just introduced myself as that. Everybody knows me as Janine. I dropped my middle name completely because it was never mine. I absolutely loved my mother, but it was her name. It wasn't my name. And so I dropped that completely. And then my surname was given to me by my beautiful, benevolent spirit team. And they just dropped it in. I'd never heard the name Savion before, and it took me even ages to be able to pronounce it properly. It's actually Savon, but it's just never said completely right. But so I took on this whole new vibration, and I loved it, and I felt like I was thriving in it, and then you find out the meanings of the names and feeling the vibration as well. And it's just, it allows room to grow. It allows room to expand and come into the latest version of ourselves. And, some people can change their names 2 or 3 times in a life, not just simply through marriage, but simply because they feel they've outgrown one and they want to alter it slightly, finally tune it. So, yeah, it's all part,
so interesting.
All part of the growing freedom of us and where we're moving to in ourselves now.
Let's just dig a little deeper with that, Janine. So if somebody is having that feeling of a name change, what would be 1 or 2 tips to assist them or guide them on exploring or experimenting, and then perhaps even taking the steps to do it?
So first of all, you let go of your mind. It's not a mind thing to find a new name. It's a feeling thing. It's a vibrational thing. So it's simply like finding your spot where you can find that quiet space within yourself. If it's out in nature, by the ocean, or even in a corner of your room, if you're used to just sitting there and letting go of the world, and you just sit within yourself and you allow that deepening connection to just start growing in you, because you've put the question out etherically. So you've just asked the question with your body, with your body heart awareness. The question's been asked. And then you just sit in it and you allow it to come. So what may happen is immediately something might come to you, or over the next few days, when in your own unique readiness, you will see a name or feel a name or hear a name, and you'll know immediately that you love that name. There's a love for that sound that we call a name. And so that's how we bring to us just the perfect vibration for who we are right in that moment, right in this now time.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
And I'm just typing in something here for Facebook, but so looking at Dave, for example. So he's a Dave. Should he be David, or do you feel another name change for him? And the same for me. Am I Deb or am I Deborah? Is that why it's been gnawing at me?
That's exactly why it's been gnawing at you, Deborah. It's and it's, you know, and I could not give like Dave a name. That's personal to him, and that needs to come up from within his on a soul level. So that will come to him, you know, if it ever does, if he ever feels inclined to do that. But for you, you are definitely transforming from Deb into Deborah, but that's still entirely your choice whether you choose to take that on. But I can tell you that you will feel the difference in yourself if you do choose to take that on. There will be an expansion within your self-knowing and your place in this world. That's what a name does for us.
You know, and I truly believe that. You know, I was adopted, and my first name was Ruth originally. And it's interesting because I know a handful of Ruths, but when I think about that now, I don't feel like a Ruth. I was a Debbie for the longest time, and then a Deb, and it almost feels like I'm feeling this Deborah thing keeps coming up. And when you said the meaning of Deborah in stand in your truth in these different things, this latest book that I'm working on, like it goes with my book Unlock the Door, and they're both the two things I kept hidden as a child, the spiritual experiences that I was having that I never shared because I was afraid of being basically crucified by my friends, right? Terrified to speak about that, and then being sexually violated and being terrified to speak about that. Well, that is in the book. That's there. And the next book, so it's like they're coming in parallel, and it just feels like this energy up, like lifting even more into owning that truth. So anyway.
That's it in a nutshell, is owning our truth. So truth is felt, it starts to rise, then we own it, and then we become it in the owning of it. So beautiful unfolding process. Beautiful unfolding process.
And so anybody watching who knows me, you know, what do you think of Deborah versus Deb? And I was thinking about putting it on the site. I was literally thinking about this so much today. It's just hilarious how things happen, right?
Hilarious is one word.
Yes. A little synchronicity there.
Yes.
Everything's unfolding for a reason, right? The same day. You know, do you find is, you know, with your beliefs, do you find that more and more, or that things happen more rapidly when you have a sense of them? Like, you know, people call it manifestation, or when you're believing a certain way and you own that or take that on, do you really find that opens up the environment for more and more of that coming into, your life?
Yes, I call it being in the flow. So when we step away from the mind, which is always, I always call the storyteller, and we step away from all those stories and all that connection to what's going on outside of us, and we come into the flow of our feeling and how we feel about every moment that we're standing in that flow, life just unfolds. So in the unfolding of it, it looks like it's synchronicity, which it is. Things just come on in at the perfect time, in the perfect way, in the perfect opportunity, and doorways open that were never there before. So possibilities and opportunities just start coming on in, and people would say, oh my goodness, how lucky am I to be here now, right now, and things like that. But there's no luck in it. Luck is a mind word. Luck is part of the story. We created it by being in the flow, by being where our heart, where our feeling told us to be in the first place, and that's why it's unfolding as it is. That's what life is like on that level.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dave.
I love what is being shared, and I love Deborah. I think it sounds awesome. I like the way Janine says it, especially. Deborah. There's an elegance there. There's an ease, and there's a fullness of life with Deborah, and when I hear it, And so I love your quote that you shared with us today also, Janine, about the truth of self is found within the love for self that awaits discovery within each human. And it really, there's that invitation to explore our truth, because many of the stories that we have been weaved or have been weaved upon us might be pretty heavy to let go of. And there's a lightning that's going on. And your inspiring posts on Facebook are just so amazing. And in what ways are they being pass through you or in flow with you? Or could you share one or two ways that these expressions are coming about to you, through you, and to us in such beautiful ways?
I have an expanded awareness of life, and so I know life in this way, in the way I write. And what I do before I write a post is sometimes I'm pulled to put on a particular piece of music, can be different music at different times, very softly, and I move into the flow of that music, which takes me down into the depths of my heart, where I connect with my truth. And other times no music's required. I'm requiring complete silence to find that peace. And then sometimes if the messages come from my beautiful team that I'm just a part of, I anchor that energy here. It's like a thread. I find a thread is just there, and if I touch that, like a beautiful glistening golden thread, and if I touch that, I get a download of information which goes into the message. So there's varying ways, and sometimes I get like what I call a parcel of information, or a package of information is sitting in my field, and I connect into that. So when that happens, it's very important, and I need to share that, and I can't get past that feeling to be able to get on with my day's whatever I'm doing until I take that out of my field and I type it out and put it out. So there's all these different ways, but the main way is it comes from deep within my own heart and my own awareness of life on that 360-degree view of life, which is way more than this physical reality. So it's about bringing in the deeper knowing into the physical reality and creating something amazing within this reality. So bringing it all together here within this point of consciousness that I am, and creating my world from that place. And of course, I love nothing, absolutely nothing more in this life than to help and support others to find that in themselves so they can create from that space as well, that area.
Well, that's one of the best descriptions of the way you do it that I've ever heard. So thank you so very much. It gives me tingles. And I love when my body tingles, because that just makes me feel I'm connecting to source. And the way that you describe the depth, yet also the some days it might be with music, some days it might be no music. And it's just such a practical deepening of understanding. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, a pleasure. And it's about bringing the practical and the etheric together, because we are in a physical reality. So practical does have its place, and it has to here. But to know ourselves on so many other levels as well, and to bring that etheric, that deeper level of us through into this world, only makes it a far better place for us to be in, a far smoother ride, if you like, would be the words. Much smoother ride.
That makes me think of, I'm listening to a lot of audio books right now as I walk my puppy, and I just finished listening to a book, Deepak Chopra. It's the 7, was it Spiritual Laws of Success or something along those lines? And he says about creating that time, a half hour in the morning and a half hour at night, to be still and to be quiet. That doesn't mean to be reading, to be writing, to be doing anything. It's just to be quiet And I look back to about a year ago, year 2 years ago, I was doing a lot of meditating. It was the first time I would meditate up to 3 hours at a time. And that within that silent time, there was so much creativity and so much inner wisdom, or, spirit wisdom, that came to me during that time. I mean, that's where Pray Love was created from that. So do you advocate a meditation practice with clients, friends, family?
To keep it simple is the basis for what I teach with meditation. It's just to keep it as simple as possible, because if there's too many techniques, often the mind can get involved. If there's too many techniques, it puts people off. They feel it's just too hard. So I just say to people, find an area that you can call a sacred area. It could be in the corner of your lounge. It could be a particular room in your house. Outside in nature is beautiful, under the sun's rays, beside the flowing ocean. Whatever feels sacred to any individual, find that place and go to that place regularly. Keep going to the same place regularly, and it's like you build up an energy signature within that space. So it doesn't matter where it is, if it works for the individual and they can disconnect from the world in that place, it's important that they know they will not be disturbed. So that's where trust and safety comes in. So they will not be disturbed, so they can let themselves completely fall into themselves, and know that there's not going to be anybody come in, no phone's going to ring, nothing is going to disturb them in that space while they're there. And by falling in, I just teach them to become consciously aware of their breath. So just to feel the breath into the body, to feel the intake and know that life is given to us in that moment. And on the out breath, know that we are giving back to life in that moment. So this is our connection with the field around us, with the reality we're in, is through the breath. And then bringing that awareness into the body and feeling the body respond as it fills up, as it releases, as it fills up, as it releases. And then just watching where we breathe, how deeply we breathe into ourselves. Do we just breathe to our lungs? Do we breathe down into our belly? And understand that that in itself is showing us our connection with life, if we're a shallow breather or if we're a deeper breather. And that can change day by day too, depending on how we're feeling. And so just being with that and nothing else, because that gives the mind something to do if we're concentrating on the breath, if we're feeling it in our body. And then understanding that the mind is one part of the whole of us and the rest is our body-heart awareness. So the body-heart awareness is where the feeling happens, is where we bring ourselves into a deeper part of ourself. So we go into the body-heart awareness with our breath, and we feel our body and where it's sitting on the chair or the grass and how it's sitting, and just feeling into our limbs and just taking our time to move our awareness through our body and feeling it. And then over time, with a little bit of practice, I get a person to the place where they understand that the heart within the center of their body-heart awareness field is the portal through. So they can just gently go and sit in that place. They can relax in that place. They can feel themselves in that place. And then when they're ready, whatever means they want to, they can just fall through into the fullness of themselves. And that's where the real magic happens, where the creativity is found, where the truth is waiting to be discovered. And that just comes piece by piece by piece. So like that might sound like a huge thing to go through, but this is step by step by step, just making the commitment to ourselves, to be with ourselves, because there's nobody more important to each of us than we are to ourselves. So that's what I teach.
Very nice.
Yeah. And yet so many people grow up thinking that if I'm thinking about myself, I'm being selfish.
Well, that's how we've been taught, through the societies that we've all grown up in over a very long period of time. We've been taught all these untruths about ourselves, and we've been led away deliberately from our deepest truth of who and what we are, and that's been a deliberate veiling of the beauty, the magnificence, the incredibleness of us as beings. But we're breaking through all that now. We are coming home to ourselves, and there is nothing that could ever stop this brightening light that's coming into this reality now, that's birthing through every one of us ourselves. And it's the most incredible time of times to be in right now, and watching people rediscover, remember who they are by feeling themselves within this reality, and what that means, and how that can look for them, and how that can feel for them. So it's it's a fabulous time to be alive. And I know that there is a lot happening in other areas that people can bring their focus to, and they don't feel good about that at all. In fact, they can go right into their fears, but that is a choice. That is a choice. Do I choose to bring my focus inward to where I feel fabulous, and where I'm growing in depth and understanding of myself and my brothers and sisters in this world? Or do I place my focus outside of myself and get caught up in the global narrative that's really there to show us where we'd rather be, to bring us inward? So, we live by choice. We've got the freedom there to have choice in every moment, even when we don't realize that.
I have a few questions on that same topic.
So we go to the 33-minute intercession. 33 minutes.
Okay. So did we do this last time you were with us, Janine, or did we just start this after? I don't recall. So Dave, you explain it.
At the 33-minute mark, we like to create a little commercial for the magical 33 minutes. And so we invite our guests to answer a question or engage with 33 as a sacred number. Perhaps if Deb has something prepared, we do what Deb has prepared. We might be spontaneous, and I have a feeling Janine has a relationship with 33 that I'm extremely curious on what it might be.
Is that my question?
Yeah, there's no pre-planned question here, because knowing that you're such an intuitive, I was just going to wait for this moment. And David said so eloquently. So when you see this, a magical 33rd minute moment, what comes to mind?
Or heart.
Or heart. Heart, yes. I stand corrected. Thank you.
33 being a master number, it's the same for me with every master number. It gets me to stop. So whenever I see 33, 22, 11, any of them, I stop and I take a breath and I realign myself, and I feel the light of my being. And that's what master numbers always do for me. It's a moment of remembering. It's a moment of centering, alignment, deep connection, taking a breath, giving gratitude to life, moving on. So that's what 33 means to me.
Thank you. Dave?
33. I play with the 33 levels of masonry, and the fact that that's a builder master number that invites a pause, a breath, a giggle, a noticing that whatever's happening externally, it invites this beautiful vibration to reset, recalibrate, and to the way I've been using it mostly is to find the humor in whatever I'm doing at that moment. And there is this giggle reflex that I think I've started to program in the last couple of months that is just making my life just so humor filled, because I've asked to bring more light and laughter into my life. And 33 has really been helping it.
Beautiful.
Nice.
And Deb?
For me, 33 is my number. It's always been a very special number for me for many, many years and for many, many reasons. But actually, when I was looking at it, Janine appears down here. That's why I'm looking down like that all the time, not at the camera. And it scrolls right below. And when I saw the 33, it just flipped over. It became 88, an infinity and possibility. And that's what happened to me in this moment when I focused on it. And it's so interesting because, I mean, clearly what were you just speaking about, the possibilities and where we are on this planet right now. So many people are intertwined with the fear, we're just everywhere we turn to, we're just bombarded with messages of fear, but there are pockets where there is so much optimism and hope and the changing of what is going on. So when I hear infinity and possibility, I like to put it back to you, Janine, and maybe share a little bit more, expand what you were talking about just before we had this 33rd minute. In terms of I think a lot of people are seeing pretty narrow-minded right now. I think we created this environment with, everything in terms of the virus that's going on in order to slow everything down, to come at it from a different perspective or approach. And maybe you could share, your thoughts on that.
Sure. So the only way that change is going to happen on a global level is through having to face the fear in ourselves and in the facing of it, move through it deeper into the light of ourselves. So when we're cornered by fear, and there's nowhere we can go because we've got our back to the wall and our fear is right there in our face, the only option we have is to go inward. So, and that's what's happening with the world, with those that have chosen to awaken. They're realizing that that fear, they can go through that fear in themselves, and they can find something that's always been there, but that they never had any realization it was there. They've had a feeling, but they've never known actually how to quite reach that place in themselves. So fear is here actually as the greatest part of this change, but through that fear, the light is coming, and it's finding every crack in the armor of fear to start to shine through. And so fear is bringing a rapid growth to the awakened. They're moving at such speeds now within themselves and moving into the multi-layered dimensions of themselves, of ourselves, because of what's going on out in the world. So there is a part. So we came here, those that are awakened now and are awakening, came here especially for this time. And our entire life here this time has been in a lead up to this time now. Like I was told probably about 38 years ago about what was going to be happening in this time now. And I've just sort of been counting down all that time to this now moment, because I call the awakened and the awakening those on the leading edge that are here to support and hold this energy, this new energy that's coming through the dissolving and breaking down of the old world. And it's only through the ashes that the phoenix rises. So we are seeing the darkness in this world depart right now, because our vibrations are rising, because of our inner focus. We're seeing more clearly what has always been right in our faces our whole lives, and yet we've never realized it because that's how we've always known life to be. So now we're realizing that there is so much more that we didn't know before, that we've only lived on the tip of the iceberg. And of course, there's all that underneath that is true reality. And so we are witnessing the darkness leaving this reality. And so, of course, we're seeing it more and more. We're watching it play out. We're seeing how it's infiltrated deeply within every single niche of our societies. We're seeing how we've been controlled and manipulated all our lives into a belief that's so totally foreign to who we are as beings. And so we're seeing it all now as it's leaving. So it's all moving through, and it's about not grabbing onto its coattails now as it's moving through, because those that are deeply enmeshed in it will leave with it. And those that have released it and are looking deeper and deeper at themselves and the brightening light of the truth of themselves are moving into a whole new different way of life. And so that's how it is in my broad perception and awareness of life. So there's kind of two worlds separating now. Those that will stay asleep and will move through with the dark, and those that are feeling the light and knowing themselves as that light and growing and wanting completely different way of life now. And some will never fully wake up. Some human beings here on the planet will never wake up in this life. They're not ready to let go of the reality of duality, of separation, of not knowing those deeper levels of themselves. Their soul is still happy to play in that type of reality. So they'll just continue with that, if not in this life, in another one when they come back. And then there's those of us that have completed with it. Absolutely. Now we're awakening now. We're seeing the oneness, the unity, the community in everything, and we are knowing ourselves as a part of that world. So very different timelines, very different realities separating out from, and it's all about choice. You know, I go back to that. It's all about choice. We have the freedom to choose in every moment, and we live by our choices. There's responsibility to us in our choices that we make and our decisions.
Oof, yeah, well, thank you. Wow. When you started off and you said, we've elected to be here at this time, I just got goosebumps everywhere. Like I can't even, if I was on some type of monitor right now, I'm sure it would be like all over the place or very still. I'm not sure which, because I had a vision when I was 10 years old and I was told to be good, because later on, then I would have, something important to do. And I feel like we're in that time, and I never, goosebumps. I never connected that message when I was 10 years old to this moment in terms of this time. I always thought, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be serving people, and there's things like that. But I didn't take it like the way you said it, that each of us have elected to be here at this time. Anyways, I got nothing else. So you guys can. I'm in a space.
I had a question, sort of, and a comment. The question was, what can we do to serve people who are faced with the phrase, why do bad things happen to good people? What are one or two ways that we can assist those who are living with that paradigm or stuck in that record?
So if we come to the realization in ourselves that we are the creators of our own reality, we are co-creators always with the universe, with others in our life. So we are co-creators. We have to take responsibility for what we would term as the heavy, the bad, the not good happening to us. So that is showing us that there's a part of us that needs healing. So that is what the awake person in that moment realizes, that if something's coming into their life that's heavy, that's harsh, that's making them feel really yuck, then there's a part of them that they're being invited to look at, an aspect of them that's crying out for their attention, their loving embrace, their awareness, their acknowledgement, their acceptance of it. And that could go back to the inner child, right back into the childhood, and what may have happened at some stage back then. And normally that's where it leads us, back to something that happened when we were small, and we've never looked at it, we've never embraced it. I always say to people, you can't release aspects of yourself from yourself because we're whole beings and we have it all within us, but we pick it up. And so I often say to clients, pick that beautiful little boy or that beautiful little girl up, go back to that moment and pick that beautiful little child up and hold them in your arms as the adult and tell them that they have never been alone, that they have never been unloved in reality, and you have always been with them. And I said, and then I say, then just gently ease them into your heart and tell them that they are there now, that they are fully in love and will always be. So, it works. It works beautifully for people. So that's how I'd answer that question, Dave.
Thank you.
Beautiful, thank you. We actually have a question here too from one of our regulars. Sherry's asking, Janine, how many times do you feel a person will come back to do their growing?
That's totally an individual and personal choice. So if Sherry's asking that from the level of soul, there's always growing. We never stop growing. We never stop having experiences. We never stop coming back. We love it as a soul, as a fully energetic being. We love to experience ourselves in this physical, emotional realm, because this is the only place where we can actually have a tangible, emotional, mental experience all at the one time. And from the level of soul, we love it all. There is no good or bad, light and heavy. It's just all simply us experiencing ourselves. So from that level, we just don't stop. We go the traps around the universe, and we try all sorts of different civilizations and realities, and in particular, we love this one because this is a very unique reality in that it gives us so many experiences we can't have in others.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the times, and I'm sure you experience this too, I know both of you do, with clients, they bring forth heavy situations, and there's a lot of heaviness in terms of what people are thinking about or thinking most about. But they're searching for something else. They want lightness and they want happy, and yet they're focusing so much on the things that carry the heavy weights. So how do you get somebody to shift or be more aware or more observant of the positive things, or the things they should be grateful for, or all of this? What is your process in that?
So I say to them, when you're in your heaviness and when you're really feeling that area of yourself and that experience in life, and then when you're in your lightness and you're feeling the happiness in yourself, which area do you prefer? Well, of course, 100% of the time, they say the lightness and the happiness. So I say to them, then that's your choice. You don't have to carry the memories around with you, dragging you down and making you believe these untruths about yourself, when you can easily, and it is easily once they commit to it, to move over to the lightness within yourself, to the happiness in that. And so we take it step by step. So I might give them in a week something to do that's going to be simply an appointment with themselves to go and do something they wouldn't normally do that's going to lift them up a bit. So I call it pivoting. So they move around a bit from that heaviest place, and they may come back and they're feeling a little lighter. And even for the time that they went out and did whatever it was they did, they felt good in that time. So then we sit in the energy of that time, and then the homework for the week would be to go out and make another appointment, and this time expand it out a bit. Take it a little deeper, do something spontaneous, even something that brings a change in the moment for that person. So they're not in the same old routine that's bringing the same old energy and feeling in that, but they're doing something different in a moment. They're responding to the moment in a different way. That's where change starts. In that moment where you can feel that if you did it a different way this time, you might get a different result. But I've always done it this way, so I'm just going to carry on because this way is easier because I've always done it, So it's in that moment that we instigate change in our life, is by doing it differently. So, yeah.
I've got a question about the moon, Janine. And on Friday, there's a new moon. Last week, we had the full moon. Do you have a relationship with the moon? Do you have any fun activities that you've done over the years with full moons or new moons? Would you share your relationship with the moon?
So, yes, I love the moon. I love the sun even more, but the moon is beautiful in herself. So for me, in the new moon, on the day of the new moon, I make intentions or declaration of what I'm wanting to manifest in my life over the next few weeks. And then on the full moon, so when I do it on the new moon, I know, I have that knowing that it will be so. And then on the full moon, it's like I just come into the energy of it, and I feel how that went for me with my declaration, my intention on the new moon. So the new moon is the birthing of something new, and the full moon is the manifestation of that intention.
Thank you.
I love that. And Friday happens to be the 24th year of the passing of my father. So I will look at the moon very differently on Friday.
Wow.
Thanks for asking that question, Dave. Time is just about, we're running it so much. I want to give you the opportunity, Janine, is there anything that you want to share, talk about? Is anything calling you to share at this time?
I just would like to finish off by saying that the greatest gift we can give ourselves now is trust in ourselves. It's not an easy blink of an eye and we start trusting, because we have, right over our lifetime, we have put our trust outside of ourselves, and we've found that often it's been to our detriment. So slowly over many, many years, we've found that our trust in ourselves has got less, it's diminished more and more. So now is the time to come back into that trust, to realize that our discerning abilities are strengthening by the day, by the very contrast of what we're seeing out in the world that we don't like, and bringing our focus to how we feel and what we do like. We're discerning what we want and what we don't want. This in turn is building up our self-trust again. So we're seeing that we're getting it right more and more, because we can feel in ourselves we're getting it right. So right now it's about growing our self-trust, growing our self-belief, coming into ourself and understanding who we are by trusting in our growing knowing. And if we trust in our growing knowing, we then become more glowing. So it all rhymes, you see.
I like that. What does trust feel like?
Trust feels like any feeling that we have about what we're seeing or what's inside us. Trust says you can believe in yourself. You can go with that feeling. You can know that that's going to be okay, that that's going to be, the result of that will be for your highest good. The outcome will be. So that's trust, and feeling our growing intuition, feeling our growing visualization, feeling our senses come more alive. This is all part of our growing trust. So yeah, it's about standing in our power and knowing that we've got this. We've got this made. We are here. We are creating this, and it's a done deal already. It's already complete. We're just seeing the fall off right now.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, there are so many people that I work with that they always say, I don't trust relationships. I don't trust that guy. I don't trust that gal. I don't trust my boss. I don't trust this. I don't trust that. And I'm always turning around and asking, is there something within yourself that you don't trust? And there are two types of feelings overall. There's a good feeling and there's a bad feeling. And yet people will often make a decision into something that doesn't feel quite right because it's sort of the thing to do, you know, in this box, the system that they're in. Any thoughts around that?
Well, you know, if we're doubters, we're in our mind. There is no doubt within our heart. There is no doubt whatsoever in our deep feelings. So all doubt is applied by the mind. So the mind comes in and starts whispering, and in comes that doubt, and in comes that distrust in self. And if you're looking out from yourself and you don't trust relationships, don't trust someone, and you don't trust the boss, then really you don't trust yourself. So there's the invitation again to allow the outside to show us a part of ourself that's inviting us inward and to just be with it. And again, if we don't trust ourselves, then we start learning through experimenting, experiencing, being consciously in the moment and seeing how we can trust in ourselves, how a moment can become many moments, can become hours, can become days, weeks, months, where the trust is just there now. It's part of who we are. So it tells us in a moment through the body heart awareness, not this one, walk away, step back, or yes, step forward, be involved, this is for you. That's what trust does for us. It's our part of our inner gauge, our inner guidance system. It comes under the umbrella of love, trust, truth, transparency. All the beautiful parts of us come under that beautiful umbrella of love.
I think it's so important for people to allow themselves to practice this and to play with this and to really experiment with this, because like you said so clearly, so many of the untruths become the heaviness that people live with, and they've been so manipulated or so influenced by that external untruth, that developing the relationship with trust and truth, there is a bit of a rebirthing. You used the word rebirthing earlier, and that's what's beautiful about right now. We all can have a rebirthing. In fact, I believe that that's what you said, is that today is a rebirthing. Every day can be a rebirthing. And we can embrace this truth and this trust day by day, moment by moment. And that's what's so fun about it. And there is this exuberance that does pop up because it really is a playful, childlike experience.
We are playful and childlike. We are in our natural state of being.
Yes, and that's you've given us a beautiful reminder of that, some wonderful guidance and some and fantastic wisdom. I appreciate you and joining us tonight so very much.
It's been my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're out of time, so thank you for joining us again. I think we'll have to have you on again in the future with another new moon coming. Thanks to everybody who watches Pray Love on a regular basis, and those that tune in from time to time. We certainly appreciate you sharing this time with us. Janine, it was wonderful once again. Thank you so much. Dave, as always. And I'll see you guys maybe in the studio behind, and we'll just go out with some beautiful singing with Rosemary Phelan, and take care. Have a wonderful week.
Love is all is.